Conflict on having kids. I have been in a relationship with my girlfriend for over 2 years. At the beginning of our relationship, I understood that she wanted to have kids eventually but not right away, which seemed normal given her age. However, a week ago, we had a conversation about having children, and she expressed that she no longer wants them. This was devastating for me because I had envisioned becoming a father by the age of 31. We decided to postpone discussing the issue further, as neither of us wanted to confront it at that moment. Yesterday, we had another argument, and I brought up the topic of having kids again. She revealed that she doesn't want children until she's 34. I explained that I would be 39 by then and didn't want to become a father at such a late stage in life. We struggled to find common ground and avoided addressing what would happen to our relationship, given our differing views. Sadly, we ended up breaking up. Today, we had a more in-depth conversation about our situation and how to move forward. We share a home with 2 dogs, and I told her that she could keep the dogs and everything in the house. I only wanted a bed. The house is entirely mine, so eventually, she would need to find another place to live. I understand that she's going through financial difficulties, doesn't work much while attending school, and her dad can't provide support. I assured her that she doesn't need to rush to find a new place and can stay here for as long as necessary. I'm deeply concerned for her on multiple levels. I don't want her to be alone, to shoulder the responsibility of taking care of 2 dogs on her own, to stress about paying bills while finishing school, to become depressed, or to later regret her decision as she gets past 30. Although I understand I can't force her to change her decision, I begged her to reconsider and find a middle ground. There was a moment yesterday when she mentioned, maybe in 5 years. I expressed my discomfort with the uncertainty of, maybe, because she could still say no after I wait. Nevertheless, I am reconsidering taking my chances. I truly don't want to end our relationship, but I'm uncertain about what to do next. From her perspective, she's genuinely concerned about my well-being and how I'll manage the expenses for our home. She's also struggling with feelings of sadness and fear about the idea of living without me. She called her dad to plan her next steps, but it seemed to her that he might not be able to provide as much assistance as she hoped for. She mentioned that she just needs some time to save up before finding her own place. I had never seen her so sad and defeated after her call with her dad. In response, I reassured her that she's welcome to stay here for as long as necessary and that she doesn't need worry about me. However, my concerns extend to her emotional, financial, and social well-being. I've always wanted to protect her and have taken on steps, like running errands at night, to ensure she's not alone. I've consistently managed the bills and even bought a house to provide her with more space than an apartment, knowing that it would make her happy. My desire is for her to stay, but if we can't find a middle ground, I don't want her to endure any suffering in any way. This is why I was willing to say, fuck it, I can wait on having kids and just be with her and take a chance. She does want kids, it's just a matter of when. Mill is obsessed with marriage and it's stressful. I've been carrying this around with me for way too long. It hasn't gotten any less stressful for me, so I would appreciate any support, advice, comments or helpful ideas on this. My partner and I have been together for over 8 years since high school. We're open to getting married in the future when we are more financially stable, and we're not in any rush to make it happen, as we are quite content with how things are right now and find joy in the idea that it's something to look forward to. Ever since we hit the 6-year mark of our relationship, my Mill started making condescending and weird comments towards us. It first started out with her saying that my two sills want us to hurry up and get married so they can wear long dresses and finally go out to have some good, expensive food that you typically have at weddings in my culture. Back then I was quite naive and didn't register how snobbish these comments were. As time went on, said same comments were repeated a couple of times and it became more and more annoying. Eventually, she started talking about money and that she would pay for our wedding. My partner and I both never expected or wanted our parents to pay an entire wedding for us, no matter how big or small the reception ceremony would be. Although it is tradition that parents chip in with the costs, for example on the dress or suit, which we have nothing against, it felt like we were being pushed into things we didn't want. It was fine if it happened when things were stable for us and we were able to support it ourselves. Ever since I know my partner's mother, she has been going on about how it is a dream of hers to have her own reception in a white wedding dress. She got married twice in her life, and as far as I know both times it was only the official, town hall, wedding. The more family members and friends of hers that were around, as in the larger her audience was, the more she would make somewhat of a dramatic show out of it. Especially about my partner and I, it would come to exaggerated comments like, "They just don't want to do it," towards her audience. Believe me when I say in between the lines of any comment was an underlying insult towards us, how silly, stupid we are not to want this. Letting people know how stupid they are is a running theme in my partner's family system. There was a situation where I had the courage to say to her that this whole marriage thing is actually not about me or my partner. I was convinced she wanted to live her dream through us. She was surprised by my reaction, but the following day after this incident showed how little she cared about how we felt. Again, another larger audience. The only bonus for me was that my parents were able to witness this incident this time. Things just got way out of hand and were completely none of her business. My Mill repeated the same shit again in an overly dramatic way and I just told her to shut up. As I am usually a very quiet person and don't speak up as much as I should, I just couldn't stand it anymore. I wasn't screaming or yelling, but quite angry in my voice. My outburst was not only the result of this marriage topic but many other things that accumulated in me and were a complete invasion of my privacy, space and integrity. After she had simply stared at me for a few seconds, she resumed talking about it as if nothing had happened. I told her again, "It feels like you are pushing us to do this." She wouldn't let me finish my sentence, said she never ever said such a thing and I wasn't nice towards her by telling her to shut up. It felt like a slap in the face to me. Afterwards I was very upset and had to fight the urge to cry. Nobody at the table said anything or came to my aid, they simply stared. My mill left the table we were sitting at and it looked like she had received the worst insult ever in her life. I understood that the confrontation was not nice from my side. Ever since this happened, the relationship between us just grew colder. I've struggled with depression, anxiety, PTSD and trauma for many years now. This situation, however, led me into a very deep hole. It triggered a rather devastating worsening of my symptoms. It was never my intention to be rude or hurt her, I just wanted her to stop. I understand that the way I feel may seem exaggerated to some, at least I've been told this a lot. However, this is where I'm at. My partner has become more and more understanding of how wrong and hurtful her behavior actually is. To this day, he will sometimes tell me how she bitches about the topic in front of him when I'm not around to hear it. She will get involved in rather positive and peaceful conversations between my partner and his dad and say nasty things. The most recent thing she said was that I probably will never want to get married at all, or, if anything, when I'm too old, meaning in 10 years from now or so. My partner couldn't understand what her deal was. Apart from the fact that it's none of her business and why she bothers to get involved, she doesn't know what I want. We've never spoken about these things. She's never asked me, but she has the audacity to go about and smear me in malicious ways in her family system. I'm just shocked and honestly can't understand why it's such a big deal. How would you have dealt with this? Can anyone relate? What character type are we dealing with here? Am I guilty of ruining my relationship, or was it already doomed from the start? F22M20. I'm a 22-year-old woman, and to cut a long story short, as Spandau would say, I met this guy a year back, fell in love with him the second I lay eyes on him. He ended up telling me he only wanted to be my friend as I wasn't his type and wanted a girl that is the complete opposite of me. Crushed my soul, to put it lightly. Was already having a hard time in life after years of being depressed, my first ever rejection, still haven't gotten over it to this day, haunting fair enough. Then starts the talking about his ex to me that clearly did fit his standards, which was so demeaning and just made me think he was telling the truth and that I just wasn't good enough. Then a few weeks after this he asks me out after saying that he only said that because he was intimidated by me, and that's where it messed me up. I never trusted him, ever. Even if we spent 24/7 together, he never spoke to other girls, never even had social media. There was just something that made me feel so insecure with being with him, a mix of feeling deep down like a laughing stock and feeling like he settled for me. I had reasons to be a little doubtful after looking at the girl's tweets, looking on his phone, messaging friends about sleeping with her. But to my face would say, oh no, she was just someone I settled for and barely really knew her. Always felt like he was lying and it made me feel awful. Anyway, every single day almost I would bring her up. I just wanted the truth that I had in my head. The confession part of this post is that a part of me feels like I messed up the best relationship I could have had if I hadn't talked about it so much. He was so good to me in most ways, always giving me his full attention and telling me I'm the most beautiful girl in the world. But what he did in the beginning just tainted everything in mind. At first he felt guilty and would accept to speak about it, but as time went by I think it sent him over the edge, all his efforts overshadowed by one mistake. But I could just never bring myself to trust him. Recently things got out of hand when his mum hit me and he didn't defend me and said I was lying. She has done it allegedly because I had a habit of being cold towards him when he loved me so. But still to tell me I'm lying about a slap and not to defend me is crazy, for someone who is supposed to love me so. Yesterday I brought up the subject of the girl and said to him that after the night his mum hit me and I left his house, I had gone around his city trying to find out if anyone knew the girl he had made me jealous with to get to the bottom of it. Someone had mentioned to me that her sister had passed a year or so again. In a bizarre fashion, he proceeds to tell me that he is going to send the girl a message to say sorry about her loss and told me that he was going to do that as I had dissed her and her sister, which is just bizarre. Why would he want to send a message to a girl he barely knows to say sorry for things that I said even though I don't know her? Not to mention he insulted them both on his part. No one around me understands what his intentions were with this, seeing how much he had upset me about her. He then just told me to let it go, barely apologized. I freaked and hurt myself, told him, and he just didn't care, was only interested in getting the girls. Anyway, after this I couldn't let it go. I had felt like he should have been on his best behavior after what happened with his mum. We got into another argument. Since yesterday I've sent him about 70 texts. I was so angry. He has blocked everything but my number, deleted even the playlists. Wiped me out like I never even existed. I can't help feel like I'm an idiot for some reason, as he seems to have moved on so fast. Anyway, I'm just crushed. I have no close friends, never go out. He was the only person I had. I don't think I'll ever meet someone I like as much as him. We just had a chemistry that is so hard to find, I can't lie. I'm contemplating hurting myself as I feel so alone and abandoned. I just so wanted him to love me. I already had nothing when I met him. I also feel like no one will ever want me after what he said to me. It really has crushed my soul, so it's so difficult to imagine myself getting though this. Am I the problem? His actions though, especially recently, have been weird. Anyway, does anyone have any advice? Long-term relationship with partner of opposite nature. M27 AM in relationship with girl F25, and it has been now 7 years. This started as a long-distance relationship and I met her in a wedding and I liked her. She approached me over Facebook and proposed me as she also liked me. I liked her for sure but did not wanted to get in relationship, as I did not want to make commitment and take all that goes in with relationship. She mentioned she won't talk unless I commit to be in relationship. As I liked and wanted to talk, I accepted her and we started having conversation over calls. I was more inclined for having romantic conversation and day-to-day talks and did not make efforts to know her more while in long distance. Later when I moved to the same place where she was because I got a job there. We started meeting and there were way too many arguments making me think this wouldn't work as my way of thinking was completely different from hers. I mentioned it to her that I don't think this would work as every time we meet there is some argument and I am not able to meet every time she wants, making her unhappy. But she told these are very small things and this should not be the reason to end this and I cannot end this way. She mentioned things will improve with time and we will be happy. But time passed and I was not happy in the relationship. I have kept on repeating that it is going to be very difficult with each passing day as it was already 4 years. She wanted to have each and every possible moment to be with me but I was not able to. I need some alone time and I have mentioned that to her but I think I was unheard of many times. She always had one issue or the other and doesn't have a very strong financial background from her family side. Being in the relationship, I always tried helping her out, be it financially, emotionally, and when she was having health issues, and because of these I was not able to stand and say I cannot do this anymore as I always thought that she already has a lot going on her end. Since she doesn't have great friend or family member to be on her side when I am not and I do not want anything wrong to happen to her. I have helped her with changing her domain of work. For past 1 month. She is having anxiety and some health issues and I am the only one supporting her as family lives too far and there is no one else. With all of this, I am not able to get time for myself and want to get out of this relationship. We have talked about this but this seems very difficult with all that is happening right now. She almost every time has the need for having me by her side. She is a really nice girl with a good heart but it just looks like she just needs me and no one else, and because of the differences between us we never were able to be happy. I care for her a lot and love her but not happy for some reason. I know if one reads this, I would be asked to just leave if I don't want to be in this relationship, but I think since this relationship has gone for many years it has become difficult for me just to take that step and instead wanted to have it mutual. I am having decision paralysis as I do not know what to do, hence posting my situation here. How should I deal with this situation as it has drained me a lot now?